A Methodist pastor sells. I am not making this up. This is a real story. As we just been talking about the need for pastoral accountability, the need for the church to be transparent, this story hits the social media wave. So, Connecticut pastor found with crystal meth during traffic stop, police say. What in the Walter White is happening here? Okay. Pastor in Connecticut was arrested on 5 charges last week, including for possession of crystal meth, authorities said. Herbert Miller, a church leader in Woodbury, has since been released on a $10,000 bond after police say they found him in possession of both rock and liquid forms of crystal meth. Okay.
Wow. Diversified.
Well, the liquid is probably because he was cooking, right? Because you got to cook it, as those of us that watch Breaking Bad would know.
Amazing.
In an arrest report, state police said Miller, 63, was found driving without valid registration. Why would you be caught?
And have meth in your car.
And have meth in your car. What is wrong with you? Why would you be caught without valid registration? As it has been suspended for his failure to maintain the proper insurance. Subsequent investigation revealed that Miller was in possession of crystal in both rock and liquid form into a hypodermic needle prepared for injection, police said in report, adding that he was processed and released on a $10,000 bond.
Here's the reveal. Does he not actually look like Walter White? Is this man not for real?
You got Walter White.
Also,
was this dude currently a pastor?
Yeah, and who's letting the guy that looks like this be their pastor? That's obvious.
Yeah, something's not right.
You know he's struggling.
Miller was charged on 5 counts: operating an unregistered vehicle, operating vehicle without the minimum insurance, use of drug paraphernalia, possession with intent to sell narcotics, and possession of a controlled substance, the police said. So this guy was probably using as well as selling it. I think that's fair. According to the Connecticut Post, Miller was the pastor of the First United Methodist Church in Shelton before becoming the pastor of Woodbury United Methodist Church last July. So he had moved around.
He's a new hire.
He's a new hire, but he had moved around in this circuit. Pastor Bill Florin of the Shelton Church location told CBS News on Tuesday that Herbert Miller is not a pastor at our local church in Shelton, but provided no further comment. Wait. Is that the church? When CBS called Woodbury United Church, Miller was identified as their pastor in the facility's voicemail message. CBS News has reached out to New York Annual Conference for comment. Prior to the churches in Connecticut, Miller served as a pastor at Park Slope United Methodist Church in Brooklyn, New York, and studied at Yale Divinity School. Wow. According to his social media, the Park Slope Church says that Miller was appointed to their leadership in 2004 and served there until 2018. During that tenure, the church said he helps lead support for Occupy Wall Street and started a Sunday dinner program. I mean, listen, the poetry of pastor selling Methodist pastor selling.
He just skipped out on the oldest part of his denomination.
That is poetic. That is poetically hilarious. Okay. There's obviously, we all know the Walter White aspect of it, right? But then I think he was struggling from an addiction standpoint, because to have expired registration because you ran out of insurance.
Yeah.
As a pastor.
Bad decision on top of bad decision.
Bad decisions on top of bad decision. Like this could have been avoided for him, but what probably happened is that he was selling to sustain his habit. He probably kept it secret in an environment like this where he is, I don't know how well compensated he is, right? And they're probably just like looking past the obvious signs because perhaps they don't know what it's like to see someone who's addicted and the mood change and the physical appearance change.
Yikes.
But not most
Looking
people.
Looking good, Pastor. You're losing weight.
Losing weight, Pastor. Right?
This is all sunken in.
You definitely, anyone that's had addicts in their family, you can tell. Like you can tell when someone's addicted, and the physical changes, the behavioral changes, the mood, all that kind of stuff, right? I think it's sad. I think it's super duper sad that he was going through this to the level where he got caught. But maybe him getting caught is a good thing.
Oh, it's tough. Yeah,
maybe him getting caught is the thing he needed to turn this around and to get treatment, to get help, and to get off of this stuff.
Is he disqualified from ministry?
Oof. For a while. I'd say for a while. I'd say he has to sit down.
You don't think selling meth as
indefinite
as a pastor indefinitely, like you are a pastor selling meth indefinitely?
I think it would
expires
go,
your ability to.
What
be
do y'all
ministry.
think, chat?
I'm gonna make a case for indefinitely.
Okay, give me a case for indefinitely.
Teachers will be held to a higher standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, selling the actual, like, who knows how many people he supplied to that actually died.
Yeah. So that's okay. So this is what I'm saying.
Anti-gospel.
If he was on Walter White level,
Yeah.
yes. If he was a crackhead selling crack to other people,
No.
as a way to skate by, and it was like I just barely sold enough to just stay afloat, that's a little different.
So you think whether he's wealthy or not, it doesn't. You think if he's caking off of it, then he's in trouble?
I think if he wasn't using himself, yes, absolutely. But I think if he's an addict selling to other addicts and or cooking, right, cooking to sell to other addicts, that's different than like you're Walter White pushing on mass levels.
But you don't think like
I think
Walter
he's disqualified either way.
Oh, that's what I was asking.
I'm saying
indefinitely.
Indefinitely, if he gets clean and comes back to ministry 5 years from now.
5 years? So 5 years ago, the pastor was this. I was a pastor selling meth. Now I'm a pastor not selling meth. Like think about that.
10 years?
Well, I mean, I think it's like a 20-year thing, but I don't think he's got 20 years.
Okay.
I don't think he's got 20 years.
What do y'all think?
I think he just needs to work and tithe. he needs to make something up. He needs to lead a recovery thing in 10 years from now if he wants to. But I think, bro, a pastor selling, and then 5 years later, you're still a pastor, but you're not selling that. There's no change.
This is why I got a soft spot for him. Is when you look at that mugshot, I don't see Walter White. I see an addict.
Oh.
I see someone broken.
I see a guy that wanted to be Walter White, but got caught because he had failed. He had expired registration.
Yo!
He got Walter White without good writers.
Yo! You're out of control.
That's a fact.
You're out of control.
He's like, oh, I could just pull off a little bit of Walter White here.
Yeah, moral of the story, keep your insurance up to date. Absolutely. No, moral of the story, don't sell. What? Don't sell. But yeah, I think he's sitting down for a while, for sure. At least for, I'd say 5 years. I'd say at least 5 years. Maybe 10, maybe 20. You don't go back to ministry after this, right? You
I don't think so. I think you go into construction.
But here's the flip side. If I'm gonna push back,
okay,
is sometimes the amount of paraphernalia on someone can automatically result into a attempt to sell charge, and he may have not been attempting to sell. It may have just been the volume that he had on him. I'm saying that's happened before. So now you got an addict who maybe just bought their stuff, and because of the amount they had on them, they look like they're about to sell, but they weren't going to sell, right? They just cooked it up for themselves. Like if that's the case, then you're literally, then does that change it for you?
Yeah,
that does change it for you. So if a pastor's struggling with, it's different than a pastor selling.
It's also just so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. It's
like
so
struggling with
ridiculous.
meth is like, because then you would have to actually compare it to like struggling with porn or struggling with any other addiction.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Struggling with weed.
Yeah, exactly.
Struggling with alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, sit down 5 years and then you could come back to not a lead teaching role.
So 5 years minimal sit down, even if he was just a meth head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, like, what's the recidivism rate of an addict?
Pretty high.
Yeah, and it's usually like within, if you can make it past 5 years, you're already in the top 95% or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think you could come back, but like there's still a chance that this dude, he's not like a very long time clean. But if he actually is giving it to other people, that's like anti-gospel.
No, you're right.
It's like dealing death.
You're right. It's just
That's
all of
pretty
it.
dark.
All of it is so sad.
Yeah.
We see according to the Bible that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. For the Christians watching this channel, I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. One, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask him to move on my behalf. And 2, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when he answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used for my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think will be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. You can pick yours up today by clicking the link in the pinned comment below. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.